Sitting by the Fire, a podcast on ancestral wisdom, medicine, heritage, and transformation by Anna Sólyom. Hi everyone, a very good morning or afternoon, depending on when you're watching us. Here I am today with the newest chapter of Sitting by the Fire with my dear colleague and friend, Gabriella Fenesi, or Gabi. This is a strange situation because we are both Hungarians, but for the purpose of this interview, we're going to speak in English. And I'd like to ask you, Gabi, to present yourself, because you're also someone who has a lot of beautiful things that you're dealing in your professional life, and I think it's a good point to start there. Who are you?
Thank you, and thank you for having me here. I before training with Ancestral Lineage Healing, I already did shamanic initiations with the lineage of the Muneki rites that originates from Alberto Villoldo. And I also teach or taught Qigong, a very special way for women. I would call it more like practices to recall our own power and have a harmonious relationship with our own body and our own sexuality.
These are so important, what you're mentioning, like recalling our own power, having a harmonious relationship with our own body, with our own sexuality. It's not something easy to be in a harmonious relationship with ourselves, I think. What brought you to this discovery that this is what's needed, this is what I'm going to dedicate myself to?
Yeah, it was an interesting journey. I practiced Tai Chi since 2003, so quite a long time. And after having three kids, I started to research different practices, especially in connection with sexual energies. And somehow I had this idea that the ancient Taoists had a very natural method to prevent conception without any chemicals or any mechanical thing. And so my starting point was that to find that method. And I read several books and also visited some trainings, and I put together these different practices that I started to practice on myself. And I experienced a big transformation also in my body on the physical level. And also how I opened up more to the world, and also how my senses were more open at some point. And after practicing these exercises for a year or so, I was thinking to myself that maybe it was just for me discovering all of this and having all the beneficial side effects. But when I asked myself this question, it was just my own journey, like half an hour after someone called me that they were looking for a translator for an event where a Taoist master, Jutta Kellenberger, was here in Hungary. And they were looking for a woman who wouldn't be embarrassed about the topic of sexual energy and about the sexual organs, and who can also relate to the language around these practices. And then I realized, okay, maybe it's not just for me, it's also for others. And I started teaching these practices like 2 years ago. And all the feedbacks I received from women who were, due to these practices, they could get rid of all the PMS syndromes, a lot of pain in the body and also in the emotional body through these practices. I realized that it is very important. And I also have the belief that when women heal themselves and they own their true power as we create the world around us, that would bring a bigger healing to the whole world.
Oh, I'm having goosebumps. I love it. And the question that comes to me, excuse me, why women are so important in this healing process?
I always say in my courses that we have the creational power channeled in our own body, in the whole system. And due to the long time oppression of the feminine, there are a lot of wounds. And we tend to create from those wounds and from the pain. And that's how the world is right now, created from the pain of the feminine. And when we can connect with the feminine energy, and I think it's not only for women, also men need to learn to relate to the feminine in a different way, also in themselves, but also with women in real life.
Yes.
Then we can create a future where there's more caring, more respect. And I really love to leave a word to my children on the generations that are coming, where it's like just a memory where the women were repressed.
I would love that. I'm in some way, and being to women who we are here identifying also as women, I think that's something really difficult in the present society to be a woman with or without a child, because many times children are used to define a woman, or I don't have children, so I know this in my skin, how a face can change when somebody discovers that you don't have children. For whatever reason, all the assumptions come in playing. In my case, it didn't happen. I had many miscarriages, so I'm at peace in the moment that it didn't happen. But it's something that I was observing in many times. How do we define ourselves as women in this present society, and how much our value or our utility, in a way, or usefulness, is connected to produce children, in a way. And I admire presently a lot of women who are very creative and having children, because I recognize that's so difficult. There is so little help to take care of yourself once you're a mother. This is what I see on my friends. So it's really true that we need a village to support women on the journey of motherhood, because it's so difficult alone. I know a lot of persons who are abroad having children without their web of grandparents or friends who could help, and this is really a difficulty as well, how to find ways. And I see especially with women, you mentioned PMS or premenstrual syndromes, but also when we are in the perimenopause or the menopause approaching, how difficult it is to redefine oneself or find that purpose beyond being a mother once your children grown up. So where I'm going to is that it's very layered and sometimes complicated to define oneself as a woman, and to see what's part of the definition. And I think creativity, that you said, the creation power, the power of creation, is something that is present in every human. That I had studies, or I learned from Miranda Gray, who is a British energetic healer, created something called womb blessing systems. So she works with the power of the sacred feminine, or the energy of the sacred feminine, and healing the womb space and the feminine soul. And in this journey, I learned that, first of all, there are so many ways to be mother. Like, the word is crying for the mother energies, the tending, I don't know, maybe the holding, in a way that possibly we received in a different way than we needed, most of us, when we were children. And it's not good, not bad. So there is no judgment in it. It's just something that we keep yearning when we're growing up, that softness or holding. So yeah. So what is your insight in how can we grow, maybe not to definition, but to embodying this feminine, this healed feminine? How would that look and feel like? What's the path?
Mm. Oh, that's a big question. Yes, I think first it's very helpful to connect with our own body and with the sexual organs in a very healthy and harmonious ways. I think there are still a lot of shame around that, as also around the menstruation and the blood. And as I see, there are more and more healers to tend these topics, but still we are taught, and there are still places on earth where menstruation is handled as something you don't talk about, or something that is like almost like an illness that you just need to go through. But as I see it, it's more like letting the power, this creational power, flow through our body. And also with the cycle, there's this cleansing part. And when we are not open to that, then illnesses can accumulate in the system, not just physically. I think first it's almost for everyone. There's an emotional and energetic blockage. And in longer term, it can accumulate the physical illness. I also teach very simple practices, just to connect with our womb. So the focus is not on healing, just to have the connection, because our womb is not a visible organ for us. And I also teach that even when the physical organ itself is removed due to some kind of severe condition, the womb space as an energetic space is still there. And if you tend that space, you can build a tender connection to your own creational power, becoming more aware all the patterns that you were taught or you inherited or brought with yourself when you were born. And as you become more and more conscious what you have in that space, everything just starts to make sense, how you create your own life and the whole world around you.
Yes, I agree with you. That tending of the womb space and the womb is so important. I think that's something that if I had a daughter, I was always thinking about it. That would be something really beautiful to teach, how to connect to the womb space, because that's something that we dismiss, or in a way, when I was growing up or in the society, that's just an organ, you know, like, I don't know, a tissue inside the body that's sole purpose is to produce children. And it's not true. There is so much more in the womb space, energetically and connected to the health also, especially as we speak about a holistic health where we include the emotional part, what you spoke about, also the mental processes, and also maybe the relational space, how we relate to the world outside of us. So there are like a lot of layers around that energetic space in the lower belly that is completely hidden in a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you find your way to work with the ancestors? How does someone who does energetic work with the womb? I have some ideas, but I'm really interested in what was your past there?
Yeah, my meeting point was not related to the work that I already did. Last year when Danielle was here in Budapest doing a 3 days intensive, one of my friends invited me to go with her. She was really into this ancestral work. She already read the book, which was published in Hungarian just a few months before. And basically, I didn't know anything about ancestral work. She asked me to support her so she would feel safe being in that space. And I just went there without knowing. Of course, I read what's on the website, but I still had a lot of questions in myself. How it's going to be? Is it really about the ancestors and not about us? Before I went to several family constellations, and I still had the idea that maybe it's an other kind of family constellation. And when I was there at the intensive, it was really deeply touching for me to connect with my own ancestors. Before that, in these family constellations, I already perceived that there's a lot of trouble with my ancestors. I also had the idea that one lifetime wouldn't be enough to heal everything with family constellations. So I was like, okay, let's see what is here. And during those 3 days, I connected with my father's lineage. And I was amazed that I could heal the whole lineage in just 3 days. And I perceived a lot of patterns that were holding me back in many fields of my life due to the different traumas on that lineage. So for me, it was a big discovery that I can have this deep connection with the wise and well ancestors and with the guides. So I instantly started to work on all my lineages. And the guide that I first connected on the intensives, the first thing he told me that this is a very important work because there are so many layers and healing, not just on the personal level, that I should do everything to spread it. And first I was a bit skeptic that do I really need to learn another thing? But then I said, okay, I do my part. I apply for the training and let's see how it unfolds.
It's unfolding in a very unexpected way. We're both part of the teacher training, which means that sometimes in 2026, we hopefully will upgrade our driving license and we'll be able to create this intensive ourselves or in a group or individually. And I love that. And I love what you say, that it's such an important work with different layers. What are the layers that you perceive in this moment after maybe 1.5 years of working with your ancestors?
I can clearly recall the moment when I discovered that it is not just about me and my ancestry. Last year, around this time of the year, I was in Stuttgart, and there I went to a cathedral to light candles for my ancestry. I have a lineage who used to live in Germany, I mean the ancient ones, in pre-German times. And there, when I lit those candles, I could perceive that the healing of my ancestry goes on the sidelines also. So it's not just directly for me, but also many, many generations of grandmothers and grandfathers who were connected to the land. So also the land can receive the healing and rebuild a healthy connection with one another and with humans. And I also have this idea that the ones who lived before us, maybe they live now in another body with a different ancestry. And as we heal the patterns of our ancestors, maybe there are children on the other side of the world who also receive healing as a reincarnated ancestors of ours.
I was muted. Oh, it's a beautiful turn to have this approach also, that maybe someone who is incarnated has this opportunity to heal invisibly something. And in this part, it reminds us how in craniosacral that I also do, we working with the embryonic states, but also with newborns and little children, and also tending the parents. So any body therapy focusing on helping children, as much as I know, well, the ones I'm working with also is working with the parents, and sometimes also working with the family system, because children are the clearest symptom or view whatever in the system is hidden and needs to be recognized or seen and held in a different way. And you also said one thing, the ancestral patterns, the recognition of patterns. And I really always say when I speak about ancestral medicine to anyone that, have you recognized any pattern that's repeating in your life and you can't do anything about it? That would be my definition for something that since generations and generations is repeating in one lineage. What would be your definition if different from that? And if you can say an example, if you want.
Yeah, there's one pattern that is or was present in more than one in my lineages with my grandmothers. As I worked already with 6 grandmother lineages, and 4 of them went through periods of times with different generations when they basically lost their own tribe due to genocide or assimilation, and lost their own culture, lost the connection with their own family. And and they were left alone, like they didn't, what just you just described in the beginning, when mothers are alone, they don't have the supportive system of the grandparents, and they need to figure out everything by themselves. So now, as I'm saying it, I can see it also in my life, that I didn't have this supportive system when I had my children. And one of these guiding ancestral grandmother told me that I have this pattern in so many lineages. She also said me that you are the daughter of the lost tribes, because there were so many grandmother tribes that basically were lost through the time of history. And there were always a grandmother of mine who somehow escaped due to her beauty or smartness or just being cute.
I'm having goosebumps as you
Yeah.
Wow, yes. So those are skills of the feminine, also survival skills. Now, being beautiful, being smart, being useful.
Yeah.
To find her to survive. Assimilation, that's also very important. What you said, how we assimilate to the stronger culture that's arriving. That we're both, we've been born in Hungary. Hungary is a country in the heart of Europe, we can say that, in the continent. It has continental weather, which means 4 seasons, usually. And sometimes I think that we can say that the patterns possibly start way before the 7th generation from us, back in time. So I also started to with family constellation my journey, and then with also in this womb healing practices, there are some meditations to heal the mother's lineage. But it was not enough. So I always felt that there is something more, and I can feel the weight, literally, like something pushing down on my neck. And what's there that I could do? And then Ancestral Lineage Healing is not about things you can't do. It's about bringing someone in who knows much better what to do, which is a bright and well-heeled ancestral guide, a grandmother, grandfather from the lineage of focus. And I think it's really important that there were people living way before history started in our mind, because maybe in our minds, history started with the Romans, but there were people and tribes living in Europe before the Roman troops arrived. So whatever our belief system is, there have been humans before that. That's my understanding of the ancestors. And maybe I think that one important layer, this work also offers us to understand that everything is our relative. Like we really belong together with nature, with the animals, with the earth itself. So the nourishment that keeps our bodies alive, the air, the sun, like everything, it's something that is in a closed loop system. So there is no escape until we are in this physical body. We need the sunlight, we need the water. So there are many things we need, like also the trees rooting down in the earth. Now we also have this expression that we don't feel rooted enough or grounded enough. Like being grounded is something really important for the body and the mind to work in an optimum level and for the health. So I think I'm going to this expansion of consciousness when one starts to engage in healing the lineages or the ancestors. How do you see that, Gabi?
Yeah. Before doing ancestral lineage healing, I was already relating to the nature spirits, and also discovering all the layers of connection, how deeply we are connected with the earth, just as you described, through the air. We basically breathe in what the trees are breathing out, or the plants, and also the circulation of water that goes through our body and through the seas and the rivers and the lakes and through the air. And I think when we are more aware that we are not a separate being from our environment and from the beings in nature, and I also mean all the nature spirits that we stopped tending as humans, like a little bit more than 1,000 years ago. Luckily, there are places on Earth where the tradition was kept alive, and they do it also nowadays. When we bring back that connection, it's also a way for ourselves to be healthy on the inside, because we become more aware how we nurture ourselves with just by connecting with nature, and we also learn how to take care in a better way of our environment.
Yes, and there are a lot of challenges with that. So I trust that this is a path that is highly needed. And I think that rituals in this way are very accessible to everyone. With a little creativity, anyone can create their own rituals. It's, if you can read about it, maybe that's something better, but or talk to someone who has these practices. So we don't need to figure it out alone. I think that's also important. But it's really nice to reconnect. There is a mutual recognition when we reconnect. It's really like calling someone you haven't talked to maybe 20 years or 30 years, and they're like, oh, that's you. I'm so happy to hear about you. Like, so good that you're there and you're remembering me. You know? So my experiences with the earth is that there is this welcoming. They're like, oh, thank you, daughter, to come back to yourself, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Also, like the plants and sometimes the animals also react when we open up to connect with them. I think many people can relate to the connection with our house animals, like pets, but it is working in the same way with the wild animals. Although there are rare occasions when we live inside a city, but you can really connect with the birds, and they answer your calling when you pay attention.
Oh, they do, absolutely. Just 2 days ago, we've been in Calpe, which is south of Valencia. It's a beautiful coastal city, and it has a huge rock called Peña del Ifaj, I think. So it's almost in the sea, so it's like a peninsula, and there's just a very small peninsula, little one, and it's a huge rock. And we climbed that, and we had a lot of luck because it was about to rain, and it would have been impossible to come down should it have rained, because we really had to climb, and there were some chains we could hold onto it, some parts, and it was really a very rocky space. And it was, I think, the kingdom of what's it called? Seagulls. Like, there were 2 or 3 types of different seagulls living in this rock, and as you were climbing, they were speaking. Then we spoke back, and then they were speaking, and then we spoke back, and it was sometimes like a cat's meow. I think they speak some foreign languages. This these seagulls, but it was really nice. And sometimes we could just see a seagull like casually hanging on the rock, very close. I wouldn't see it, but I went close and I said, "Oh, you're here. Okay, respect." No, like it's nice to see you. And it was really nice. It really felt like we entered in the kingdom of these animals, and they called back. And there was a moment when I think it was about to start to rain, but it didn't. And all of them went like, wow, up high in the sky, and I don't know, calling and singing for a while, and then starting to just swim in the air as they go, not flying, but trying to flow in the air currents in a way. So it was really beautiful. So I think that they were kind of amused about two people walking and trying to speak seagull.
Oh, yeah, that must have been nice.
It's really, really nice. Yeah. I think I have one more question. Why do you think it's important that we include the ancestors? What could that bring for someone who may be listening to us, maybe considering to start to read the book or do some inquiries? Why is it important for personal level and maybe for the society to include ancestors?
On the personal level, I see that the life force that we inherit from the family lineages flows through the ancestors. And if they are not well, there are blockages. So you cannot receive the full power of your family when there's unwellness. And of course, you repeat those traumatic patterns in your life. And when they are still with you, I mean, these traumatic patterns, you just cannot figure out why your life or different areas of your life is not working. Because you grew up with that pattern, you cannot really see from the outside that it is something that is unhealthy.
Yeah.
Because it was always with you, so you think it's natural.
Oh, yes.
And you think it's something that is so human, everybody does that. And as you connect with the wise and well ancestors, you can gain a perspective that what really belongs to human nature and what is from a traumatic event that maybe was like 100 generations before you, but all your ancestry kept repeating that pattern, so you just inherited it as something that belongs to the family.
Yes.
So when you heal the lineages, you heal all these invisible patterns, invisible for you, and it transforms your whole life. What was really important and touching for me working with my ancestry, to have a support system that before I didn't feel, and I kind of feel protected and guided all the time, not just in the times when I'm in ritual and connecting with them, but also as I navigate through everyday life. I see how they protect me, even on the physical level. And on the cultural layer, all the unhealthy things that we do to each other as humans and to nature as our relatives are, I think all those are connected to these traumas that can be healed, I think, compared to other healing systems in a quite short time.
Yeah.
And before meeting with Ancestral Lineage Healing, I was searching for something, some kind of method that could heal these wounds from the past, so we wouldn't repeat those mistakes like the wars, like racism and other unhealthy patterns. And I think as ancestral lineage became part of my life, it was the answer for my research.
It's really beautiful what you say. It feels like your prayers were listened to.
Yeah, I feel like it was my ancestors who nudged me through the through the past to meet ancestral lineage healing, and also being able to receive this beautiful healing from them.
Yes, yes. It's good to feel that we are not alone in a broader sense of the word. Like maybe this is the whole why, one of the whys, why to do it, why to do it, why is it important that it's like you can take off a filter. For me, like there was the kind of shadowing your view and you couldn't see clearly, and you take it off and you see, oh my God, there's so much beauty. The word is alive. Now, like you're up tuning something in your brain and you realize that, okay, there is space. I can actually move. So it's really beautiful for me. And I agree that I think that on the cultural layers, it can be really important, maybe also in the community level to find ways to process the past.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't become our future.
Yeah, and one thing is also important, one more thing, is that in this way we can learn to relate more to the invisible realms. I see that people who doesn't have this kind of shamanic training that I had, they tend to believe that what we can touch and see is the only reality. And when they start to connect with their ancestry, they open up and start to connect with the invisible beings. And even though we don't see them with our physical eyes, they are so present in our life. I also perceive them that they long for the connection, and I think it's very important. It's like having relatives that you don't take care of at all. And I truly believe that it makes a big difference when you connect with those, even if it's just small offering, like feeding the birds in the winter or tending the trees in your garden. It brings also you and for them a new level of awareness and connection.
Thank you. So for the new awareness and connection, the new tastes of life, what would you recommend as closing our conversation, like a first step for someone who maybe this is the first time that they listen about ancestral lineage healing? Where to start?
Yeah, there's so many ways to start. Also, just to try to discover in yourself the different tastes of your ancestry. I think the ancestral lineage healing method is so beautifully created and so easy to understand and follow. So you can also start with the book, reading the book and following the steps from there, or find a practitioner in the network on the website. And if you have the possibility to go to intensive in the future, do that, because it really opens up a lot in the participants. and it's a different, it is called intensive. So it is intensive, but
Yes.
in a very good way.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gavi, for being here today, and may the healing spread in all our relatives, and may we all live in peace. That would be my prayer.
Oh, I joined to that. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for having listened to this chapter. We'll be back with more soon. Have a beautiful day. Bye.
Bye.